Here are the best and the scariest paranormal horror movies you will ever see. These are just my opinion only, as horror is very subjective. If you're new here, remember to follow if you enjoy everything horror and everything spooky. Up first, I have one of my favorite films of this year, Oddity. This has a combination of psychic medium, ghosts, crime, everything. This movie was nightmare fuel. Highly recommend. This is a 9.5 out of 10 for me. Amazing film. Next, I have Talk to Me. This is an A24 film, and most of you probably already have seen this, but if you have not, you better jump on the Talk to Me train right now. This film gave me everything, but I will say it is gory and it is heavily disturbing in some scenes, but the originality and the concept of this was terrifying to me. 10 out of 10 easily. Oh, and it has a really good soundtrack too. Next up is We Are Still Here. This is a heavily underrated haunted house film with plenty of jump scares and haunting visuals. This really stuck with me, and it reminded me a mixture of like The Conjuring combined with The Changeling and just a bunch of other like retro horror movies. 8.5 out of 10 for me. This is a highly enjoyable haunted house film. Flat out, one of the scariest paranormal films I have ever seen is Anything for Jackson. There are a lot of satanic references in this, as a forewarning if you're sensitive to that kind of thing. Lots of gore, disturbing imagery, and just the storyline was wild. I remember shaking watching this, and it takes a lot for me to get scared, okay? I mean, that's coming from someone that's watched horror movies for 30 plus years. You have to see this if you want to be scared. Next is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I will continue to praise this film. It takes place in a morgue with a father and son. And guys, the night that they have, pure hell. And this movie is genuinely scary, well crafted, perfectly paced, well acted, just brilliant. You have to see this. I gave it a 10 out of 10. Brian Cox is of course legendary. The first Insidious was amazingly scary, and I saw this in the theater when it first came out, and the theater experience with those violins, no ma'am. Terrifying film. I love the storyline, the execution, the acting, and just the overall supernatural vibe. I do enjoy the whole franchise, but I have to say the first two probably are my personal favorites. Another underrated film, The Dark and the Wicked, another kind of like haunted house vibe and just overall eerie vibes with a family. Must see. Very eerie imagery with this one. In my top 10 films of all time comes The Changeling, starring George C. Scott. This is a classic ghost story within a haunted home. 10 out of 10, brilliant, must see. Poltergeist, what can I say? 10 out of 10, this movie really started a lot of fear for me with clowns and just houses in general that were haunted. Let's not forget Ghost Ship. The opening scene alone is downright brilliant. But I really enjoyed the actual plot and storyline of this. I just started watching the Blackwell Ghost series, and I have to say that it is downright eerie, scary, and chilling. I know a lot of you love the Hell House movie, but I personally prefer Origins. This is the one that truly scared me. Now, the first one did scare me where they're in the actual haunted house attraction with the clowns, but this one also had clowns. I just found this one to be a lot scarier. Finally got around to watching Terrified, and wow, what a banger masterpiece. This is a Spanish film with subtitles, but I promise you it's worth your time. Throwing in The Haunting in Connecticut, this movie is brilliant and it has Kyle Gallner in it. Amazing and based on true events. You guys know I'm throwing Sinister on here. 10 out of 10. Starring Ethan Hawke, duh. I will forever praise The Sixth Sense as in my top 10 horror films of all time. It's technically a horror/thriller. And if you guys have been following me forever, you already know my favorite damn movie. It's The Others and Nicole Kidman. This is my favorite paranormal film of all time and favorite haunted house film of all time. People ask me all the time, what is your favorite scary movie? This one. Let me know your favorite paranormal movies within the comments. And if you've seen any of these, your feedback.